Hello, everyone. I would like to introduce you to an initiative that we are working at Spryker for a while now. Some of you actually might have heard about it or talked about it already, which was the aggregated modules. Basically, we want to reconsider the boundaries of a package across the modularity that we are currently applying to it on the Spryker product, which is, as you will see, is actually not limited to the Spryker product. So anything that you see here could be immediately applied on project level as well. But yeah, instead of the spoilers, let's just jump in. So since you are working with Spryker, most of you, I guess, you know how we are organizing the packages, which is basically we normally have domains like category, product, shipment type, and so on. And these domains then further broken down across technology like publish and synchronize search and storage or data import or application layers like back office or EAPS and so on. And with these two aspects, how we break down the packages, we basically end up today with more than 1,000 packages. And this is very good for reusability and composability because if you want to build something completely new, there is a very granular package for your solution. You still, of course, need to customize it, but the package is there for you, easy to use. However, on a day-to-day basis, this might actually be a bit overwhelming to manage everything in such granularity because in order to have this, I mean, if you just look at here, I'm not sure if actually you can see my mouse. Does is my mouse visible?
Yes, I
Yeah,
can.
okay,
Yes,
Now it is visible.
great. So if you just check one domain here, you see it is actually like let's say 6 package. I mean, obviously it can be much more if you have all of the granularity on a domain applied, but at least you have like 6 packages. And when you download one domain, you have to manage the dependencies that are between of these packages. So the cost of the reusability and composability is the dense dependency graph. And what the high amount of dependency means is actually a lot of things. First of all, maintenance effort. Like each of the packages you need to maintain separately, which can be considered as a pro, but also as something negative because you need to release packages separately, you need to manage packages separately. It's an extra cost, right? Not to mention the dependency issues. So since you have 6 packages, you have to make sure that you downloaded the correct version from each of them that works properly with each other. Like if there is a feature that connects them, you have to make sure that you have the correct version. And of course, I guess many of you are familiar with the dependency issues, conflicts that are coming up time to time. So this is something that needs to be managed even just within one domain, not to mention all of the domains together. And this also results in extra onboarding complexity. Like if there is someone new to the system, you need to explain, yeah, there is a back office package for this one, or we put this part into the CRUD package and so on. So there is some extra complexity that you need to handle on day-to-day basis. And of course, if you have worked with Spryker for many years, maybe this is completely transparent for you, but it's not necessarily for someone who is new, or in general, if there is a new feature release, there is some kind of onboarding that you need to handle yourself. And one of the most important one that I left for the last is the mixed facade. So if let's come back here, normally a domain should have a unified facade that is exposed for the other domains. And you should have only those methods there that you really want to expose for everyone. Currently, the facade is a bit mixed. because it also offers the methods that you want to use from your other packages within the same domain. If you take, for example, publish and synchronize modules are actually the best to represent this, because normally they want to use CRUD functionality. Like publish and synchronize typically reads from the database through the CRUD methods of the main module. And those facade methods are normally only here for the domain-only interactions. Some might not be. Those are actually the good examples of a real domain facade. But currently, this is mixed. So this is actually the downside of high granularity. And just to show you this in a real-world example, let's assume that you need to introduce a new field in one of your domain entities. Here, I wrote the example as a customer entity adjustment. Like maybe you want to introduce a middle name for a customer that is visible on storefront and back office. In this case, implicitly, you also got the task to change the data import, because of course the middle name needs to be now imported, and the publish and synchronize to deliver. I mean, middle name is probably not the best example because GDPR data is normally not traveling through the publish and synchronize, but let's assume that this is now a field that can be delivered to the storefront. So publish and synchronize also need to be adjusted. In this case, you need to change minimum 4 packages. The CRUD, which contains the database definition, the publish and synchronize, the storefront, and the back office packages, which is fine. You know where to look for them. You know how the packages are suffixed normally, but still is 4 packages that you need to change. And of course, this also means if in case Spryker product delivers these changes, you need to actually update 4 packages and make sure that there is no problem with the dependencies between them, which adds up on your day-to-day costs on upgrading just because of granularity. And of course, you have a bit more complex documentation. Since each of the packages are granular, it also means that they are like side documents that you either need or you don't. And therefore, you need to look for them. They have also separate versions because they are also traveling differently in the time. And yeah, it comes with the extra complexity. Now, we were playing with this idea and we came up with the idea of aggregated modules. It's kind of simple. Basically, we say that if you have a domain, and let's define now domain. When we talk about product and product image, we currently say that the product image is a subdomain of the domain. And these are actually can be still kept separately. So this is up for debate at the moment, but basically product image can be a separate package or maybe it's the same package. It really comes down much more to business needs rather than technical limitations or architectural guidelines. But the idea is that you grab a domain, and despite of what kind of technologies or application layers you have, you put everything into one package. And this will be your one aggregated module above the domain. And I will show you shortly how it looks like. It will be much easier. And this comes with the consequence that we are rearranging the reusability and composability into maintenance and delivery cost decreasement. So basically, it's much easier to work on day-to-day with all of these packages because you don't need to consider many packages when you are working in one specific domain. To show you how it looks like is basically I draw here the shipment type module. Although we have 2 directory structure, please, this is just one package, okay? on the left side, so if you just check the first level directories, you will see that there is no impact on the architecture. This is something that you have today already. This is really how you are separating the different functionalities across multiple modules. So the first level directories are glue, service, shared, eaves, client, and Z. Pretty common. The only different today to a regular Spryker product package is eaves, because eaves normally is in a separate namespace, Spryker shop, but actually it could be in the same module. And you could have there the page and widget parts in the very same module. The second change is in the glue application layer. Currently, the glue application layer also separates across the different APIs. So we have the REST API and the backend API. These are all separate modules, but they could be actually in the very same main module. And you can just conceptually separate them like you see here in the example, that the controllers of the backend API in that level of directory, the REST API parts are separated to the REST API. And then the module level directories, like the business logic logic, is also right next to them, and still in the glue application layer as today, but you can separate them across the different APIs. I think we have a question.
Exactly, Karoly. Giovanni has one. Giovanni, do you just want? Awesome.
Yes, hi Karin. What is about the glue API, about the storefront API and the glue backend API? Because there are other two level as application level. Is what is about it?
Mm-hmm. The glue API is what you see here as REST API. And the storefront API currently is actually the REST API, right? And they can be next to each other. They do have separate dependency injection. So still on the configuration level, they are different application parts, but there is no reason to separate them into different modules. I hope I answered your question, but please let me know if I didn't.
Yes, yes, in part, yes. But for example, you have a lot of storefront API and a lot of glue backend API, and there are some other different injection and different allowing to, for example, storefront API is just known that are not access to a database because it's just read the data all for the storage, and then the storefront API is just included in an aggregated module. It means that a developer can just easily in how in business logic just read data from a database. And for example, if you have a cluster or architecture where the storefront application just have no possibility to communicate with the database to database, then you have a problem.
Yes. So the separation of what limitations you have in your application layer, right? Like what you mentioned with the database access from a REST API, that will be still present. So currently, the REST API controllers and the backend API controllers, or actually any parts of the Glue application layers, are extended from different parent classes. And these parent classes are actually controlling what kind of persistences you can access. Like in REST API, you are limited not to access the database. And although, so there is of course a chance for mistake. A mistake can happen even today. Like if you are in developing backend API, you can still use the parent class for REST API and vice versa. This is something that you can do. And here, this is why we wanted to separate more conceptually the backend API and then REST API, because if we go this way, we could actually still ensure with CI that every controller that is in a REST API are using the corresponding parent classes to avoid these kind of mistakes that you mentioned. But yeah, theoretically, it can happen in the future and even today that someone uses wrong classes and therefore they can access wrong resources.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okie doke. Then, so glue, I guess glue is the most hardly hit when it comes to the aggregated modules. The Z part is also heavily changing, but to be honest, it's much more similar. What we are used to, I think, is client and Z basically have the same impact. Basically, you are merging all of your business logic in one application layer. Like you can see here in the business layer that normally data export, import, search, and storage, all of these logic are separated into different modules, but basically it's the same business layer. And this also shows that creating separate modules for each of them is not necessarily the best solution always. It can be still when granularity, or I mean composability or reusability is needed, it's still better to have the separate modules, but not necessarily should be a rule of thumb to create separate packages for each of these solutions. And backoffice basically appears in the communication layer. And yeah, basically this is one package, the shipment type package, and you have all of your parts here, which will come, of course, with some pro and cons later. I will explain. Is there any question maybe for the structure of the aggregated module?
Giovanni, go ahead.
It's always me. In this business level, we have the separation: data export, data import, search, storage in an aggregate module.
Yes.
Every sub level, like data export, data import, have a one factory, or just sharing the business factory with everyone. Well, this is just very important because we have maybe the possibility to separate a different factory and then just not have a code factory that have everything.
Excellent question. Excellent question. Right now, it is actually one factory, one dependency provider, one facade, and so on. We see benefit of this. I do share your concerns, if I understood them correctly, is regarding actually the size or even mixing up, let's say, the domains in the factory level. But to be honest, it's controversial. I understand that. Right now, we see it as a benefit that you have access to the repetitive functions. Like we did check actually the data import, search, and storage modules, and what we saw that we were redefining actually the same access models everywhere, like accessing the data. In some cases, they went to the bridge to access the CRUD logic, but still you were doing just the same repetitive things just to access the very same module from your domain, and therefore to merging them on factory level, what we saw actually, because we did the merging on the shipment type as a test, that the factory altogether, like if you summarize all of the factories, then actually became smaller because the repetence has just disappeared.
Okay. Yeah, because we have already a lot of factory that are little grid are, and then we have always a problem about coupling object from mesh detector and something like so, and then it means that implicit we have to ignore every mesh detector warning because we have done a lot of mesh detector warning about coupling object, a lot of coupling object initialization in just in one file and so.
Oh, wow. If it's possible, I would like to look into some of these cases to better understand them.
For example, one is just delivered from Spryker services, the data import factory.
Okay. Yeah, but that one is a huge one. Here this data import is normally much smaller. Like when the data import is really developed in the better way that was later introduced. The factory normally has, I believe, one method per import, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So Yeah, it shouldn't be heavy.
Yes, but in the case that just we have shipment time, maybe shipment time is just not very great module, maybe product or something others, and you have a lot of sub level export, import, search, storage, and whatever. The business factory will be surely a grid factory with more than 25 objects.
Yeah, might have happened.
Yeah.
Yes, there are definitely cons as well, but I would like to show you that it definitely comes with advantages, and we just need to find the best balance that we have here.
Thank you, Giovanni. Rick also made a comment in the chat because if you use trades on your project, I guess you use trades to split the factory method. Just wanted to also share that with you in case that has been missed. And then Florian also wants to present.
Ooh, sorry, I didn't really hear anything.
Yeah, you have
from that.
problem. You have a sound problem. Someone.
Oh, can you hear me better? I hope
Yes,
it's
now.
better. I just wanted to say that in the chat, Rick also made a comment that I think was to add to your conversation, which was if you use trades on your project, I guess you could use trades to split the factoring method. I just wanted to highlight that quickly before I hand over to Florian, who was also in the queue to say something.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, this trade approach sounds actually very clever. We are also working on another thing for factory, but I think I cannot actually spoil that one yet. But yeah, the huge factories are definitely an issues, and we want to address them as well, but separated from the aggregated module. Okay.
I have a question regarding the front end back end separation. I remember that if I don't want to use Eves because of whatever reason, I have my own and I want to use REST API only. It was in the past quite hard to get rid of Eves. If we put all the front-end related stuff now in one aggregated module, don't we have the same kind of thing, at least code-wise? Same for the back office, actually.
Yeah, so Eves is normally opt-in. So therefore, if you have the code, but you are not using it, you should not have any impact. Correct me if I'm mistaken. This is definitely not true for all parts of the back office. So back office is a bit mixed. It has opt-in and opt-out part. I mean, like the components you normally need to enable in Eves, the controller, you need to register a plugin or the widget. The pages are going through the router and so on. Back office, the Twig system is one of the items that automatically plugs in. And that's something we actually want to change to have the opt-in approach everywhere. So code-wise, yes, you will have the extra code, but it's not enabled unless you need it.
Perfect, thank you. Directly to that, what about merchant portal and overall merchant like marketplace modules? How they're in this picture here?
Marketplace modules. So marketplaces, they have actually the same architecture. I can put together it after the discussion. I cannot answer you this right now.
Okay, perfect.
But it should end up with the same look what you see here.
Mm-hmm.
I have another question. I don't know if you already have maybe a slide about the migrations. What is with a lot of customers that already have all modules installed and with a lot of modularity, and then they want to migrate to the new aggregated module. There is an idea about a migration, just like so.
Excellent question. That is my next slide.
Okay, so, very good. Thank you.
Yes. So regarding how this entire concept fits to the things we have and how we will go forward. So what you see here today, as I already spoiled that one, it's actually the same architecture that we have today. So there is no real blockers. I mean, beside like these opt-in and opt-out things that we definitely need to fix in order to make everything very transparent and without the less hiccups that you can experience on projects. Beside those, if we release today a package like this, it is actually working already. Of course, you need to be aware that it's aggregated. So therefore, if you're looking for the back office part, you need to know that it's not in a separate package. But otherwise, it works. The same way you could implement this only on project, a project package this way, and it works. Beside, of course, without those opt-in things we discussed, but that's probably less relevant on project solutions. Regarding the future, so right now, we did consider what happens if we switch all of the packages into this structure. If you just go back a bit, so in theory, this would actually reduce the package amount from thousands to hundreds. Right now, our business domains are something like hundreds, a bit more than how many Spryker features we have, which is like 78 something. So it would be a huge, drastical change. And of course, humanly, it's more easy to work with hundreds of packages than with thousands of packages. But we definitely do not want to impact in any case the existing projects with huge migration. This is a rule. This is not going to change. So we kept this in consideration. And for right now, what we want to see is the impact of the aggregated module. We want to see that these kind of aggregated modules are also beneficial for everyone in project development, because this is actually the first reason why we are doing this. We want to make sure that it's much easier to work with these kind of small packages for every project developers. And for the same reason, we don't just want to swap instantly what we have today, unless it's really shown that this is the best way to go for everyone. And accordingly, there is no decision right now regarding the existing packages, but some packages that are being currently developed actually are already using this approach in order to see the actual impacts. And yeah. Question.
Always me, Karoly. Example, we can just make an example with shipment type. For example, I have a shipment type version 1.2, for example, install it, okay? And the shipment type .export, .import another version, okay? And then Spryker just released the Spryker future vendor for shipping type. With which version is just connected? The Spryker future with the last one, as I see, just the Spryker futures just starting the releasing from the last ones of the every package included in this aggregated module, or just some version before, because we have then the constraint that every customer that just want to use the Spryker future module just have to update to the latest version of every modules.
So this is not decided yet. So the current packages are not impacted at the moment. So therefore, you don't need to expect that suddenly all of these packages are just getting merged together. If it happens, then there will be for sure some kind of long-term support that gives you time to upgrade. We definitely will consider the impact on projects, because we understand that this kind of merging would be very expensive actually to upgrade, or we would provide tools that does automatically this kind of migration, but we are definitely not at this phase at the moment. So right now we really just so here is the concept. We came up with evaluation what impact it has on project development, and we are delivering a few modules or packages to see the actual impacts and verify that this is actually beneficial for everyone, because it's just, it's much easier to still work with one package than with 10.
Yes. I like the decision and I like the aggregate module. This is the reason why I just make a lot of questions. For example, another last question is how long time will be Spryker support the both version? I think so. There is maybe 1 year, 2 year where there is a Spryker feature, and maybe there is a bug fix to make a hot fix, and maybe a Spryker has to make the bug fix in the old singular module and in the future package module. And there is already a decision how long time just Spryker will be supporting both strategy.
Yeah, so we actually included the bug fix support question to this topic. Since we don't have the plan yet, I cannot give you exact numbers, but the bug fixing and other how you say like custom fixes that are requested time to time, they will be still delivered to the old solution for sure.
Okay.
That's definitely was considered. It's critical.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you too. So, yeah, I just want to summarize up basically what changes this really means for you if you actually meet an aggregated module tomorrow, let's say. So the module API, something that we normally call as facade, not necessarily the facade PHP, I mean the theoretical facade of a domain, will be actually much cleaner. Currently, there is a lot of facade methods that are used inter-domain, let's say, that the domain modules are calling each other to resolve their problems, but actually it's not really a domain facade because you are not expecting that anyone will call them. And the domain API will be much cleaner, much less items. And normally this should really improve how you work in a much bigger environment where you have lots of domains, because it's straightforward what methods supposed to be used across all of your domains. And the obvious one is that you get much less modules or packages. Actually, I think that's the best word here. Much less packages to work with. And this really comes with huge advantages. So those developers who already work in aggregated modules, they already confirmed that it's much easier to have just one package for a domain than 6 or 8. And yeah, this especially when you have a small change that you need to apply only in one domain, you just apply it in one place, especially if it's like Z. I think it's a really good example here. Imagine if you are just need to change Z. You change in the persistence layer, you add the field. In the data import, you add the field for importing the data. You change the search and the storage. You change the CRUD logic and you are done. You never even left this directory. And it's just a significant win. Still, I mean, back office is still here, but storefront is in a separate directory, which in PYZ is really far away. So IFS is a bit more further away, but even then, you were still managing just the shipment type package, which should be slightly simpler even in this case. And the installation of a package rearranges a bit. If you have the domain already installed and you just need to have one more technology or application layer from that domain, you don't need to install anything anymore because it's there. You just need to enable it. I think this was Florian's question, if I'm not mistaken. So let's assume that you downloaded already the package, but you didn't use the back office. Previously, you had to figure out which back office version package is compatible with yours. It might be that this actually triggered a complete update on your project because that back office package version is just not compatible with anything else. Right now, this back office part is already there. You just need to enable it and you are free to go. It has a downside as well. So it's not black and white, but it has advantage. And the dependency graph becomes significantly simpler, which of course decreases the conflict amount. And the update count is also rearranges. It's again not black and white, so you will have less updates on package level, because previously, as we said, if there is like 6 updates, one update on 6 packages, now it will be actually just 1 update in 1 package. The downside is that if we need to, for example, change the back office part, you still get an update even if you were not using the back office part. But the total amount of update is not changing, except it getting lower in general, because you are not releasing multiple changes. And the downsides, what you see here, so the package becomes bigger. It contains all of the things that previously you had separately, which of course, as you pointed out, also means that especially the infrastructural elements, dependency provider, factory, facade, may experience growth, but also we're definitely experiencing that in general it's getting smaller, because the repetitive things just disappear, so duplicated elements. And the presence of the optional behavior might be something that is less convenient, is that if you don't need the back office, it's still there. I mean, it's in a separate directory, but it might be overwhelming for some, but it's like a deactivated code section that you are not using. And the non-relevant updates is when you are not using the back office, but the back office part gets an update. Then you still see that there is a minor, which is actually irrelevant for you. This can be a negative thing. Okay. And in general, I would like to summarize up the pros and cons. So what we saw is we definitely just rearranging the different qualities. Some things are becoming a bit more inconvenient, but what we see that in general, the day-to-day things, what you are doing is the maintenance, the dependency handling, and unnecessarily jumping through crazy amount of packages, just simply worth to go this kind of change. And we want to verify this. We want to see that this is really good. And then we will go forward how to apply this on the existing packages.